There, thanks for joining us on the Reporters Roundtable. Today we take a look at utility price hikes and its attendant public outcry. And we know that the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, announced a 27.15% increase in tariff for electricity and 21.55% increase in water tariff effective September 1. This comes after the two utility companies proposed an increase in tariffs of 148% and 300 for electricity and 334% for water. The PURC announced, however, and explained that it's engaged in rigorous analysis and extensive consultations with industry players, as well as an assessment of the economic conditions of consumers to arrive at the reduced percentage increase against the percentage proposed by the two utility service providers. So the question is, how will this impact cost of production for service providers as well as impact on consumers, considering the current upsurge in prices of almost every commodity amid the unrestrained decline of the cedi? These questions and more will be answered on Reporters Roundtable by Cliff Ekofo, who is the chief reporter with the News Times Corporation, publishers of the Ghanaian Times. And with him to do this is George Ramsey Benemba. He's also a chief editor with the Ghana News Agency, GNA. My name is Rebecca Ewa, and as always, I bring your thoughts alive. Let's get interactive on 0557446429, 0557446429, and on Facebook at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Cliff, what do you make of the news of the upward adjustments in utility as announced by the PURC?
Thank you very much, Becky. I think it's quite a difficult one. Well, before the engagements undertaken by the PURC, we first heard of the demands of the utility providers, that is the Ghana Water as well as the Electricity Company of Ghana and NETCO demands. And as you have stated in your introduction, where the Electricity Company of Ghana was demanding 148 upwards adjustment, the Ghana Water was looking at 344. 334% increment. Indeed, that announcement in itself generated some kind of debate, but then the PURC assured that it's just about starting its engagement and negotiations. So we woke up early this week, early this week, yesterday, only to get the information that the PURC has actually settled on I think a 28% and then 21.5% and 27.5%. The truth of the matter is that no matter what percentage is given to the consumer, it will bite the consumer in a certain way. So
why do you say that?
I don't think any consumer gets happy when prices are hiked, irrespective of what percentage. But the truth also is that we will have to look at issues within the context of production. With our experience, we have always said that utility providers have always said we are not paying realistic tariffs, for which reason they are unable to produce to the optimum. And then the argument of we the consumers have always been that yes, we pay according to our pockets. So there is this issue of ability to pay and ability to provide. I was actually hoping and praying that the percentages would have gone down a little a bit, looking at the present or the current economic conditions where salaries have remained
stagnant
for a while. We are yet to even know what is in the cooler that we were promised or we agreed on with government, and to see how that actually impacts our pockets. But be it as it may, like I keep on saying, there's no free lunch anywhere. So whatever it is, somebody must pay. We have a choice, either to ask government to take over the costs for us to lack the utilities, or somehow we have to bear the cost. It's difficult times, but as it is, there's very little we as consumers can do than to adjust to the new tariffs.
Okay, we'll come there more. Let me take the initial comments from Ramsey.
Yeah, thank you.
How did you even take the news in the first place?
Well, it was expected.
Okay.
For me, I expected it because, and I was even surprised that the figures had gone that far, considering the kind of figures that were given by the utility companies. And for me, when it came, I realized that a lot of work had been done on it. Otherwise, moving from 334 to 21% for me had been very marginal. And the other one moving from 148 to 27.
Yeah.
It means that a lot of consultations and talks might have gone through the pipelines to bring us to this level. Having said that, I think that for some time now, the last time that tariffs were reviewed was in 2019, 3 years ago.
3 years ago.
And between 2019 and 2022, a lot of things, a lot of water has gone under the bridge. And I think that for the water company, they have over the years complained about higher level of pollution in the water source, and which means that they have to spend more buying chemicals to purify the water for consumption. And that's one major reason why they were asking for a higher increase. If you look at electricity too, day in, day out, there's always demand for electricity for both domestic and commercial consumption. And I think that since 3 years had gone by without any increase, it was only fair for them to make some increases. But as Cliff said, the timing is what a lot of people were talking about, because we all know that once you are using the utilities, definitely you will have to pay for whatever increments that will be made. But the timing, looking at the time, all the economic crises are hitting the Ghanaian. Maybe I should say global economic crisis hitting everywhere. And the timing that Ghanaians will have to once again go in for these tariffs. That said, I think that they have a case to make. But the other side of it, as time moves on, we will talk. Yes.
But you talk about timing, and what particular time were you looking at them bringing in this, looking at the way our economy is moving?
One, we are moving in crisis. There are a lot of price hikes in terms of fuel, goods and services everywhere. Transport, everything is moving up, and for all these adjustments to be absorbed within a very short time frame, within the last 2 months, we have had to endure a lot of hardships because of some of these increases, and for the tariffs to also arrive at the time on the side of government workers, government has promised to give cola. The cola has not even arrived, and they are hitting back with these ones. So I think that the timing should have, timing is not too good. Maybe the dust should have settled on other hatches for us. On the other hand, I think they also want to heat when the rod is very hot, so that at the same time we will just carry everything on board and move on with the hatches.
You know, but Cliff, how justifiable is their stance? Ramsey has talked about the current economic downslide, justifying that for water, but for electricity. Looking at the analysis that you made earlier, how justifiable is their stance for this?
Oh, well, for me, apart from the timing, I think if we are to look at the trajectory of tariff adjustment from 2017 to date, where in 2017 there was no adjustment. In 2018, for the first time actually, we had a reduction of about 21%. That's the average. And then somewhere 2019, we went up by 11%. 2020, no increment. 2021, no increment. And 2022, we are looking at an increment. It is important to also bear in mind that just as we as consumers are feeling the heat of the various economic situation, they are also impacted by the same economic conditions we are facing. So, for example, if you take electricity, where in our generation situation, we have what we call the generation mix. So we have hydro, we have thermal, and then probably some amount of solar. Some of the thermal plants are powered by either gas or light crude. Interestingly, we are where we are largely also because of the increasing cost in gas and crude. And so if that is one of the raw materials the electricity power producers will require to produce electricity for us, then just as we the consumers are complaining about the cost of fuel, it makes sense for them equally to also complain about the cost of fuel. Like I said earlier, my only problem is that within these economic difficulties for we consumers, this adjustment also comes in. I would have loved that probably government could have stepped in, hold the fort for a while, so when things have started easing up, then they can bring in. I wouldn't mind if it had been 50% after things are easing.
Stabilized.
Things are easing. But as it is now, 21% is actually going to be biting. It's going to be biting. But
that's good.
You that defer it
or swallow it now.
Tomorrow for higher, or we swallow it now. So it's painful, but
a blow that is yours, yes. You better take it.
Yes, a blow that is yours, but sometimes some blows you may take and not survive. You understand?
Yes.
So that is the difficulty. So yes, Becky,
I think we are all going around the same point that for me it's justifiable to say that, well, for some time and things are growing. I mean, there are hikes in everything, and for their level of production, they also face a lot of challenges, which is cost of production. And for them to increase at this time, fine, it's all right. But the timing, as I said, that said, I also think that whilst they are thinking of putting up new tariffs, they should also put in a lot of measures to reduce the waste and abuse in the system. There's a lot of waste and abuse in the system. When you go to some suburbs, even in Accra here, the illegal connection of electricity and water is so amazing. And for me, water, there are certain places you go and see some best pipes, water gushing out for days, not for hours. And it seems that people will make reports, and it seems like nobody cares about what is going on. You pass there 2-3 days and still you see water still gushing out of the best pipes. I think that much as it is justifiable for them to increase their tariffs, they should also put in measures that will curb the waste in the system. There are some organizations who don't pay electricity.
Oh, for a fact?
For so many years, they are, sometimes they threaten them, electricity, even water. Sometimes they threaten to disconnect them. Some, they will disconnect them. After some time, they go and pay some small amount of money. Then they reconnect them. I think that that system should also be checked. We have some people in government and maybe outside government who don't even pay at all. Their bills are taken over by their organizations. So the waste is very, 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 very high. And I think that, well, increments fine, but the waste in the system should be checked.
The waste in the system should be checked. We are looking at the upsurge in utility prices and the outcry by the public, and you can also get interactive with us on 0557 446 429 0557 446 429. You can also reach us on our Facebook platform at the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation Facebook page, because we are streaming live on that particular platform, and you can also send in your messages or your messages right there, and we will get them and read them right here on set. The number again to send your text message or your WhatsApp message to is 0557 446 429. Cliff, dealing with the waste and tying in the issue of cost of production, because we know that from the narrative, then of course ECG and Ghana Water Company did not get the percentage they were seeking for, and it has been slashed dramatically. So how would this affect their cost of production? Alongside, how do they deal with the waste in the system?
Well, if you have followed the trajectory of tariff adjustment in this country, ever since the Public Utility Regulatory Commission was instituted, there has never been a time where they have been given what they have demanded. At any given point in time, negotiations are actually undertaken, and then something is settled on. In actual fact, in 2018, they were looking for an upward adjustment, but then somehow government decided that there should be downward adjustment. It didn't, even if it affected their operation, we still had services running for us. So I'm sure when they sit around the table, they look at the various variables and consider other things to give the figures they do give. The utility tariffs have, utility providing companies or agencies have always made an argument that as one of the ways to address the efficiencies is they being capitalized to be able to, for example, if you pick the ECG, to tell you one of the major cause of their losses is also as a result of the obsolete equipment they do have in the system.
For monitoring. That,
not just monitoring, but
even enable them to monitor.
The obsolete equipment makes it very difficult for them to operate at the optimal level, because you have transformers that are as old as 50 plus years when there are more efficient transformers in the system. But like Ramsey said, yes, that is a fact that no one can run away from. That if there are higher performing machines and you still rely on the older version, your level of efficiency will not be as somebody who has switched onto a new higher performance one. But beyond machinery, we also know the waste. I still wonder why the ECG till date has not been able to evolve technology to be able to collect every cent per kilowatt that is used by the public. Because, like he said, there are places you go and you see people using all manner of gadgets. And yet, these are places where, if you look at the poverty levels, one can conveniently conclude that it is not possible to resort to those kind of electrical equipment. So for what is the basis for ECG allowing things like this to go on? You go to a place like Agbogbloshie, where it's a major slum, people in kiosk, and the kind of appliances you find,
air conditioners, everything are hanging on their wooden structures
and all that. For Christ's sake, that is one of the poorest of the poor areas in the urban center. And if those who are living in well-structured, developed areas are complaining of high costs, no one can convince me that there are people living in places like Agbogbloshie who have the capacity to afford electricity to use the kind of appliances. It simply shows that the EC itself has adopted this laissez-faire kind of attitude that, okay, this is a no-go area. We can't go here. So whatever the people are doing there, let them do so that we can. So indeed, yes, they have a case when they talk about the obsolete machine, but it looks as if for a very long time, they too have been sleeping on the job. Not to talk about some people from within who help people in doing illegal connections.
Yeah.
You understand?
Okay.
You have deployed, you agree that prepaid meter is a way of attaining some level of efficiency. And for Christ's sake, you go apply for a prepaid meter and it will take you years on end without getting that particular service. Yet, you pay money for somebody from within, and within the next few moments, you have so if we all agree, or if you agree that prepaid is what is going to enable you attain some level of efficiency, deploy it to every house. Deploy it to every house. Then we also have what became known as the legacy debt.
Yeah.
Where government agencies or state institutions use electricity and water, and then the payment is deferred, and it keeps piling up year on year, and then becomes an albatross on our neck. So yes, we may not have given them what they were demanding for, but then I'm sure it is to meet them halfway through, and then they may also have to look at their operational efficiencies to be able to plow back some of the losses they make, so that at the end of the day, even if they are not doing full cost recovery, they be able to recover to be able to stay in business for a very long time.
Okay. Just like he said, you go to some of the suburbs now, water. I know of some places where they run shower compartments. You go there and somebody is running this public shower compartment for people to come and bath and pay. And when people enter there to bath, only God knows how many hours they will stand there and bath. And they come out paying maybe just 1 cedi to the owner. And if those places were properly metered, I wonder if they would not be given time for people who come there to bath. Maybe they will tell you when you enter there, the next 10 minutes, it should be out. But then you look at those places too, they don't even have meters. They don't have meters. Somebody is running a place, commercial place like that. He has about 10 rooms where people come to bath and pay. And they don't have meters. Some of them, they will tell you that they are on fixed rate. And fixed rate, sometimes maybe 70 cedis the whole month. So these are the ways and abuses I am talking about. If somebody is running a shower compartment for 10 rooms, people come to bath and pay. And at the end of the month, that person is on fixed rate, pays 70 cedis to Ghana Water Company. How would they break even? Not to talk of even making profit. So I think that the systems must be tightened enough. Much as we are ready, Ghanaian, whether we like it or not, once it has been imposed on us, we have to pay. I'm wondering, some of us, the way we use electricity in the offices, I'm wondering if it is our homes, whether we'll do same in our homes. So going forward, I think that all the metering system that they thought of over the years should continue. You still have places where they use the postpaid. And the postpaid is difficult to take money from the people. If it is all prepaid, your power is finished, you are compelled to go and buy again. And once it is prepaid and you know that your power is finishing, you know how to handle it. Maybe if it is weekend, maybe Friday, you say, maybe I have to consider putting off some gadgets to save power. By Monday, you would have reduced your consumption levels to get more up to Monday before you go and buy. But as it stands now, a lot of places are not metered. That's why we're talking of those gadgets. Somebody at a slum using so many sophisticated gadgets, appliances, that can consume over 100 cedis a day. And yet, these are the people who do not pay much. So I think that much as we will take the tariffs in good faith, we also call on them to tighten the system. Make sure that the waste in the system is reduced to the barest minimum for everybody to enjoy
you know what? One of the reasons that the Ghana Water Company gave as backing the percentage they were looking for is what they had to do to treat the water.
Yeah.
And this took me back to our issue of Galamsey.
Yeah.
When we all sit down unconcerned, as if it's not my problem, the water body is being destroyed, I'm not concerned about it. At the end of the day, see.
Yeah, so that's why I said earlier on that high-level water pollution, which is compelling them to pay more for chemicals to purify the water. I said it at the beginning. Because of the Galamsey, so when you go to the Galamsey endemic areas, there's no way they can purify the water with the same amount of chemicals that they used in the past. So
how do we intensify the education on this particular subject? Because at the end of the day, it's the same water that comes to us.
I think you see, there is this disconnect in our development agenda. We have a situation where the citizens believe that we are sitting out somewhere and you have come to say you want to develop us. So it is your sole responsibility to develop us. We have no role to play in whatever. And so that is the disconnect. If we all come to agreement that the development of this country is a shared responsibility where each and every citizen, just like the elected, has a role to play in the development, then we'll be concerned about all these things we are talking about. It is not just about Galamsey. Look at how we have polluted our every stream. even in areas where we are not mining gold. When we were growing up, we used to go watch people fish tilapia from the Kole Lagoon. It used to be a very beautiful water body in the middle of the city. Today, the Kole Lagoon is nothing to write home about, because some people believe it has no use, and so every garbage
is thrown
in there. And that is the attitude. In Accra, West Accra, we heavily rely on the Wager Dam, which draws its water from the Dinsu. Now, move towards Nsawam. If we are not destroying the source of that particular water with sand winning,
then
there are portions where we are building, or there are portions
waterways
where we are dumping refuse in. So in terms of how to deal with some of these things, I think for me, it's a shared responsibility, and we must begin to find ways to let the citizens know that, yes, today we are all crying about increases in tariffs, but there are two choices. We all sit on concern for somebody to pollute our water, and then Ghana Water pumps it like that for us to drink without any treatment, or we bear a higher cost for them to be able to treat, or we stop people from activities that will pollute the water, so that the cost of production will come down, and then all of us can enjoy it. But until then, they will find every convenient excuse. And at this level, it is very difficult to even argue with them. It was in 2008. I was there when the Trefuhimai water treatment plant was inaugurated to supply water to Cape Coast and some communities, adjoining communities. Today, you go to that particular plant, and as a result of the pollution on the River Pra, the mining activities in there, it is nothing to write home about. Their machines are breaking down. So sometimes when they raise this argument, you find it difficult challenging them, because you are seeing visibly what our activities are doing to their machinery. And then you have no choice than to agree with them. So it becomes easy for them to hide their own inefficiencies, because there are clear cases of examples to talk about. But if we are all responsible and we are behaving in a very responsible manner, then we take away that aspect. It becomes very difficult for them to shift their inefficiencies onto us. So for me, like I said earlier on, I believe there is a disconnect in terms of our development agenda between the citizen and those at the helm of affairs. And I think we must work to a time when we all come to the consensus that the development of this country does not belong to just one group of people, but each individual in the country has a responsibility towards it.
Right. Ramsey, I'll come to you so we talk about the economic implication this will have on the public, because you can hear their cry, and it's very loud.
Yes.
So let me take one or two messages here, then I'll let you speak briefly about the economic implications. Same with you, Cliff. My name is Titus Anambisi from Bubuashi. One of your panelists just hit the nail right on the head, which triggered my attention. There's leakage from a best pipeline at my area for the past 3 months, left unattended, and nearby houses and car washes are making good and free use of it. So it is good your panel member made mention of it. These are the wastages we are talking about. My name is Titus Anambisi from Bobuashi. I think he's reacting to what Ramsey said. Yes. Let me see. Let's quickly. So he's talking about the special prosecutor. I had a message. Okay, I'm sure I'll get those messages, but let's look at the economic implication. Let's look at the on the public.
Yeah, So, first and foremost, going to water. You all realize that at the beginning of this year, we witnessed some hikes in, should I say, water,
sachet water production,
sachet water
the
production
bottle,
and its hikes. And right now, the producers are going to pay more than before. I will not be surprised if within some months they come back to say that they are going to increase the prices of water, bottled water and sachet water, because they will now have to pay more. And for me, the tariffs should go along with provision of services. There are certain places they pay the tariffs, especially when those who pay the fixed rates. Sometimes they pay the rates, and yet they don't get enough water at the end of the month. Some might even have their pipes flowing just for 2, 3, 4 times in a month. And they are paying the same amount. If they are on the fixed rates. You realize that at the end of the day, it will not be too good for her. I'm not saying that is going to happen, but for the implications, I just said we should just guide our loans maybe for another shake-up in prices of, because if a lot of industrial productions are done done with electricity, we should not be surprised if prices of goods in the market also increase, because they will attribute to the hikes in the tariffs. And they will say, if, for example, we buy things that are manufactured from factories, toothpaste, we buy soap, we buy everything, detergents from factories. If one day they come back here, maybe in a month or two, to say that because of high cost of production, because of the high electricity tariffs, because of the high water tariffs, they are also making some increases, I wouldn't be surprised. And I think that will have a very serious economic implication on a Ghanaian like me and you. And so we are looking at the tariffs as maybe the usual thing done in a year or two. But consequently, I believe that it will place some hardships on us, as we will have to pay higher costs for goods and services in the coming days.
Cliff, economic implications.
No, there's no two ways about it. That indeed it is going to have some impact on us. That's why I said from my initial response that even if the increment was just 1%, I was just doing some calculation. So if you're a household that was using 100 Ghana cedis a month, be rest assured that you will be moving towards 127.15 a month. So barely 27 Ghana cedis has been added to your cost.
So let's say rounding it up to 130 cedis.
128 cedis. Okay. Yeah, 128. But 127 because the 15 is less than the 0.5. So you understand. So 27 Ghana cedis more added to your cost. So nobody can run away from the fact that it is actually going to have some economic implications for consumers. But then the other leg of the argument will be, would you keep your 27 Ghana cedis? And like we experienced some years back, where we were plunged into what became known as the doom zone. Do you want the service and pay higher, or you would rather you pay lower and not have the service? It's like the chicken and the egg situation. Normally, when I'm discussing these issues, I want to look at it from a very dispassionate angle, because I myself am also a consumer, and I'm also going to feel the pinch. The question people will ask is, okay, so how much will be added to my salary to be able to cater for that? I have not added that of water. I have not worked out the percentage of addition you are going to have in water. And so, per rough estimate means if you are 100 cedis consumer of water and electricity, it means for the same month you are going to have an addition of about, using the same figures, only about 50 plus cedis added onto your existing cost. So indeed, there will always going to be a cost implication for the consuming public. But that the reality is that
I have this viewer, yes, asking a particular question. He said his name is Asanko from Santa Maria. He says it is alleged by service providers, ECG and Ghana Water Company Limited, that many individuals, companies and government institutions are owing them millions of Ghana cedis. And instead of recovering such debts, they always run to the PURC for increment in tariffs, making consumers to suffer for their inefficiencies. Is the PURC treating consumers fairly? That is the question. I think
it's a very legitimate question, and that is why
that goes back to your
legacy. And that is why you realize that anytime, if you have followed it, like I said, from when the PURC came into being, anytime they have gone to demand for a certain percentage increment, they are not giving. Because indeed, like he said, we can't be bearing your inefficiencies. 27, as somebody said, what is going to happen is that unless this utility providers put in place mechanism, what they are going to do is that the cost is going to shift a lot more people into illegality. You understand? People who hitherto could simply afford what they were paying, today may not be able to afford, but will need the services. So they may end up joining the league of illegal connectors already in the system. What mechanism are these providers going to put in place to ensure that with the increment, you don't have more people joining the already existing league of illegal consumers? Because the reality is there. I need a service. At 50 Ghana cedis, I was able to afford it. Then it moved from 50 Ghana to 60 or 70 Ghana. I'm not able to afford it, but I need a service. I know there are some people who are already enjoying that, and the ECG or the providers have done very little to arrest those people who are enjoying free service. The temptation to join will be there. So whilst you might have been giving 27%, on paper it may look like in terms of your revenue may be going up because 27% is huge. You may end up moving a lot of people off it unless you have mechanisms to ensure that the illegal systems in place are broken down. If not, like he said, and I do agree with him 100%, we may end up burdening the few, because we will come back tomorrow to demand for a higher increase because we have failed to deal with our inefficiencies.
Wow, this one says, hi, I thought the tariff is a bit reduced for commercial users.
Yes.
And the burden has now turned onto individual consumers. Yeah. Isn't this the case?
That is it.
Yeah, it is.
That is the case.
But all this, all the same.
Yeah,
all the same.
But it is not zero.
Yeah,
it is not zero tariff.
They are also paying.
Yeah, they are also paying
very
something
significant.
I think we have argued that one of the, it looks as if it looks upside down. In the advanced countries or countries where we have seen development, industries rather pay less, and then the consuming public pay more to subsidize industry. In our case, we have had a situation where looks like if industries rather pay more to subsidize.
It is assumed that we are in a metering system, and for people, the private man who is using a meter in the house should check his level of consumption.
Yeah.
So if you think that it is going too high for you, you reduce the number of appliances that you use. And maybe at the time, there are certain people, you go to their house, they have about 3 fridges. They are all on. And you ask, what and what do you have in them that you have to put on 3 refrigerators at the same time? Maybe you can use one at a time, stock it to the maximum. Then when in that way, it will help you to check your consumption.
That's the reality. Indeed, the reality also is that, yes, the metering was to help check people, to control how much they use. But then the truth of the matter is that I think energy for in industry is expensive in our part of the world.
KB from Kaswa says, greetings, honorables. Some of the officials with these utility companies condone with the citizens to use the utilities without paying to government. And those monies are to those officials. How that is done, I don't know, but that is what KB is saying. So you can also send in your WhatsApp or your text message. The number is not a phone line where you can call. You can send in a message or a WhatsApp, and we'll read it right here, and we'll be grateful that you join the feed. So let's see, I have another one here that says all the public institutions must pay their bills just as the private institutions does, because for so long a time they have changed the private institutions. Still from Abu in Accra. Abu. Okay, Abu is doing the PR work for the utilities company. Let's look, moving forward, let's say, what strategies should, say, the working class adopt so that we can survive this increase?
Well, I said it here that it is for us as individuals to monitor our consumption levels and ensure that we don't go beyond maybe certain levels. If you think that your budget is limited, then you should find a way of controlling your consumption levels in the house. And going forward, as you said, I think that I will suggest that every year the utility companies should go for increments so that it doesn't accumulate to come to 10%. Even if it is 2% a year, people will not see it as they are seeing it right now. If for the past 3 years there were increases, I don't think we would have gotten to 11%, maybe 2%, 5%, 5% in a month, in a year. I think that it would have been around 15%. But if for a year or two there are no increases, and after 4 years, you just come and give us that, people will start complaining. Meanwhile, the consumption is going higher and higher.
Well, on that score, I may want to disagree with. But then, before I even do the disagreement, how to cope with it? Like he has said, there are. In actual fact, the efficiency of the appliances we use in itself determines how much you are going to pay for electricity. So probably people must look at the kind of appliances they are buying. Some appliances are very energy efficient, others too are not. But Ramsey, this your proposition of every year increment. I can give you the data. In 2012, there was no increments. But in 2013, we gave them 46%. 2014, we gave them 50%. 2015, we gave them 53%. So there is no guarantee that if they decide to go every year on year, the whole thing is that the tariff increment is given based on the variables at any particular year. So I'm sure in 2018, when they looked at the variables, it looked like it's possible for you to come down. And that is why they were compelled to come down. The years that there have not been any increment, the variables will determine. So I would want this, as it operates now, the PURC must be up and ensuring that the issue of efficiency, because once we get them to be even 70% efficient, I am sure we may end up every year bringing the tariffs down. Then we as citizens also have a huge responsibility. If you know somebody living next door to you, using electricity for free, bypassing the meter to fetch water, you must know that at the end of the day, the cumulative effect is that it will be imputed into the tariffs, and you and I will pay once somebody has enjoyed it for free. So we must be responsible citizens and begin to report people in those acts. And then those who are tasked with ensuring that the law is enforced in this country must be up and doing, so that collectively we can sanitize the environment and then bring down the tariffs.
The cost of tariffs, right. Yeah. I have some friends in here who have sent messages. Jonathan from Teshi. Jonathan says, I welcome the upward adjustment, but then all other government institutions must also pay for utilities. Jonathan, thank you for that message.
But for now, a lot of government institutions are put on prepaid.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
A lot of them are put on prepaid. Whether they like it or not, they will have to.
A lot more
and some too are yet to be hooked onto it.
Greetings. I have 40 meters in my home and go for it to be sorted for me, but nobody seems to care.
Those are the issues, yeah.
I have been complaining for months. What do you think will happen? Poor services is endemic in the company. My name is Ni from Pokuase. Yeah, this is what he is saying, that he has a 40 meter.
These are genuine concerns. These are genuine concerns.
So my ECG friends in Pokwase, if you are watching, then Ni from Pokwase is saying he has a 40 meter.
Then maybe you should also persevere, because I also experienced similar things. I went and sat there a whole day.
That is not what it's supposed to be.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's see.
You persevere. Then they will come and
I have
work
one from Amwako. Amwako says, in fact, I'm happy with the discussion, Rebecca. It's time we manage our utilities so we can also pay less. Asemo, God bless Mother Ghana. That's what Amwako says. Amwako, thank you very much. I think this issue is one of the conflicts in discharging our responsibilities as citizens, where one pays higher utility tariff but enjoys poor service. Ghana must work again. This one is from citizens but not spectators. That is the hashtag that you added from Bwedi in Agona Sweju. Okay, Bwedi, thank you so much. Let me hear from you, your parting comments on this particular subject, so that we can say goodbye to our viewers.
We must all live responsible lives by ensuring that the cheating public are brought to book. Those engaged in illegalities in terms of water and electricity connection should be brought out of their hideouts for shame and for the law to take its course. And as individuals, I think that we should also check our consumption levels so that we don't cry too much outside, because we can monitor it and we can reduce it.
Well, the tariffs, the increment has come, and we will have to live with it. But I am looking to a time when the PURC will be able to tell us that in looking at our variables, so and so percentage constitute waste, for which reason we expect you to reduce the waste margin to a certain level, and then the following year we are updated so that we know that our utility companies are moving towards optimal efficiency.
Right, so that is it. We have been looking at utility hikes and the public outcry, and thank you so much, Ghana, for joining in this discussion. We know the conversation will go on and on. Thank you for sending in your messages. I see more messages coming in. My name is Rebecca Iwa. I have been doing this with Cliff Ekofo, with the New Times Corporation, publishers of the Ghanaian Times, and George Ramsey Benemba, the man who cannot be hated. He is with the Ghana News Agency, GNA, and thank you to all the technical crew for bringing this program your way. We'll see you again, God willing, next week.